Hey, I'm Bill Fanter, founder of Options Action, and you're watching the weekly watch list. If you'd like to get access to this content before it goes live on YouTube, just hit the first link in the description to sign up for our free weekly emails. All right, let's jump right in. Welcome back, everybody. So this is going to be the watch list for Monday, July 21st. Let's go ahead and start with the economic report. The good news is we don't have much news that's dropping this week. Monday, we have the U.S. leading economic indicators 30 minutes into the market open. So wouldn't put too much concern around that. But again, I probably just wouldn't be in a position if you don't have to be at that time. Now, Tuesday, we're going to probably have a bit more volatility. So Powell is going to be giving some opening remarks at a banking conference. Clearly, there will most likely be not only the narrative, but there's going to be some Q&A. And depending upon what he says, and I'm sure he's going to be asked yet again, are you worried that President Trump is going to fire you? So there is a lot of noise and speculation right now in DC around a remodel that has been happening at the Federal Reserve to the tune of some ungodly number that I don't even know how it's probable. But supposedly the spending was approved years ago under a prior administration. Now they're redoing the Federal Reserve building. There's been rumors that they spent $2 billion and some astronomical amount on the cafeteria. And the only way that Trump can fire Powell is he has to have cause. So the market freaked out about this a little bit last week on Thursday when it was floated out there that, hey, there is now a motive or a reason why the president can officially get rid of Jerome Powell. So you saw the market immediately sell off. Then at the same time, the president was doing a news conference. He was specifically asked, are you looking to get rid of Powell? And he said, no, not looking at it. I'm going to basically let him serve out his term that goes through the spring of next year. But then there was some more narrative later in the day that if in fact the Federal Reserve Chairman authorized egregious spending, then, well, maybe we have something to look at. So just a lot of political nonsense that is whipsawing this market back and forth, and I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like in the charts, okay? Wednesday, we have existing home sales. We know that these things are going to be down. We are watching major metropolitan markets across the country, specifically Texas and Florida, which are taking the hardest hit in home price changes over the past 12 months. They are dropping quite rapidly, and that's because more and more inventory is actually coming on the market. Thursday, this is going to be an important day. We have initial jobless claims. So this is where we've had conflicting numbers in the past, right? ADP says jobs are getting much worse. U.S. government comes out with their numbers and they say, wow, look at how strong jobs are. Two totally different stories. So the question is, who do you believe? At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter who you or I believe. We just have to go with who Wall Street is believing at that point in time, okay? We also have the PMI. We have that coming out at 9:45. So we'll want to keep an eye on that for both services and manufacturing, and then new home sales. So we know new home sales is struggling. This is why the builders like KB Homes, Toll Builders, D.R. Horton, all the big guys that are out there are giving insane incentives to just move inventory. Why do they want to move the inventory? Well, because they don't want it to sit for one thing. And then two, interest rates aren't cooperating where people are coming back into the market and saying, well, wow, I'd love to have a mortgage at 8% when I locked in at below 3% during COVID. Okay, so you still have all these people that are in their homes that don't want to give up a really low interest rate. So therefore, you're not going to move unless you absolutely have to. And then on Friday, we have the durable goods orders, and then the same thing minus transportation. So that'll drop before the market opens. So I would say the biggest thing to watch this week is definitely going to be Tuesday. So it's going to be Jerome Powell talking and then Q&A. So that could be a very challenging morning to trade. Maybe wait till he gets done and then see how the market responds. And then it's going to be Thursday on the market open, 15 minutes in. Obviously, we're going to want to watch again this jobless claims, the PMI, not so much new home sales because I think we already know where that's going. Okay. Let's take a look at a couple of individual names. So we're going to look at SPY here on a 4-hour time frame, and you could see that if you are not patient waiting for a day where you get a nice big green candle or a nice red candle, right, like this, or this, we're getting a lot of whipsawing back and forth where the markets, they sell it off, they buy it up. They come in, they sell it off, they buy it up. This day here, clearly a lot of indecision, but again here, they sell it off, they buy it up. The overall direction is higher, right? So we have a high, a higher high, a higher high, a higher high, okay? What's not happening though is we are not really making too many higher lows. So look at the lows that are all in, this area right here, okay? So this is a pretty fine line in the sand where they'll bring the market down, push it up, they bring the market down, they push it up, bring the market down again, they push it up. We want to see, are they going to bring it back down into this 620 range before they allow it to go any higher? Okay, so get out on your higher time frame so you can see a better perspective of what's going on. Now, when we look at QQQ, you'll note that we are in more of an uptrend, okay? So we got a high, we have a low, we have a higher high, we do have a higher low, a higher high, not much of a higher low, pretty much close, but it is moving up, right? Higher high, we're getting these higher lows. So at least this trajectory here is starting to move like this, okay? So a little bit different than with SPY where they keep dragging it back down, which here would be that 550 level. Well, what does that have to do with? Well, think about this. QQQ is only 100 stocks, right? Google, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, big market cap names. Whereas SPY is the broader S&P 500. So it's got all the banks in it. It has oil companies in it. It has retailers in it. It has airlines. It has cruises. It has more consumer discretionary. So the strength and the easier of the two to trade lately, in my opinion, has been QQQ. Okay, so let's take a look and see why is that. Well, let's start with Nvidia, the first company to ever hit a $4 trillion market cap. And these are the price levels that I would be watching, right? We have a lot of consolidation here. A lot of that happens also primarily because nobody wants to be left holding the bag at the top of the market. Now, we do have a nice gap fill below here. I would expect that if we see any weakness, they'll use the top of the gap fill to go higher. If not, we have a really nice pivot high from back here on Friday, July 11th that we could also use as support. Taking a look at overall supply and demand, we're in fairly heavy demand, at least on the lower time frames. But again, we break through this gap, right? There's no more buyers until we get below my price level of 164.42. So kind of be aware of where that is. Take a look at AMD. I've talked about this one numerous times. And this is the one that has a price target of 200. Now, you'll note here I have a lot of blue lines. Well, because I'm watching to see how they are using these prior pivots here to hold the market to keep dipping down, grabbing liquidity. Do we go higher? Grab some liquidity, go higher. If we fail this 156 area range, and this is very tight here, right, then I would expect that you could go short down to the 154, and if not, further down lower. Now, we could throw another milestone marker here where we're able to see in the pre-market, they pushed us down during the market open, they confirm that level, and then again, just make sure, see, always, right, make sure you're confirming your levels with supply and demand after your levels are drawn. So we have some low-level sellers here, so we could easily push back up to this 160, or we could fail down to this 154. So just look for overall market strength one way or the other. The other thing I would definitely encourage you to make sure that you're familiar with and you know how. Let's draw a fib from the pivot low to the pivot high. Where might they bounce this thing? In the golden zone between the 50 and the 618. Look exactly where we're at right now. Where are the markets closing overnight? The golden zone, right? We have a price level here, 156.50. It aligns with the 618 fib. It's between the 50 and the 60. So I would expect that if they can hold this level here, what they're going to do is just a bit of consolidation, okay, right? And then if they're going to take it higher, off we go. If not, if they lose this level, then they will go ahead and push it down lower to find some more buyers, which are where we're at. my 786 fib, which aligns with 154.82. So the market moves in technical levels, okay? You have to be able to make sure that you have a good perspective as to what are those levels. And then guys, do it, well, you do whatever you want, right? Don't do what I do. But just trade level to level. So I'm going to keep this fib on here, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at a few more names. Apple, been acting horrifically, but it's been giving you a really good trading range to trade this thing. If you just look at what it's been doing, and let's go out to a 4-hour time frame, we are in a tremendous amount of consolidation. My bet is that we are going to break this to the upside. Okay, so why is that? Well, look at this 4-hour trend that this thing is just holding, right? And so where do we keep resisting? This 211 area right here, over and over. We rejected it here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I would like to go long, and then again, we have a gap fill above for Apple, so I'm not exactly bearish on this, but I'll go ahead and leave my trend line, right? I drew it, I saved it, we got all these candle touches below, but they are making higher highs, okay? But they can't make a higher top to get through this to 1193. They just keep struggling here. So the lows are going up, the highs are staying the same. This is actually bullish to the upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at Google. It's been getting a little bit of traction lately. Same exact thing here, right? We have a nice gap fill above. We do have a pivot high to a pivot low. All-time high to the tariff low. It's just surpassing the 618, which means it has strength to go to the 786. You'll also note on this one, we have a decent uptrend, right? So when we go ahead and just take a look at the overall structure of the stock, okay, let's go ahead and just pull this out here. Again, watching to see, will we come back here and then go higher? But this 182 is holding. 182 lines up with the 618 fib of 181.64. Where did I get that level from? I'm going to save it. We'll go out to the daily time frame. You'll be able to see the fib was done from the stock's all-time high of 207, most recent from the tariff high, I guess, all the way down to the pivot low, right? And we're just watching this thing build momentum to the upside. So keep an eye on Google for a potential long. Amazon, this one's kind of been back and forth all over the place, but we got some nice consolidation here at this 218 level between 218 and 225. So again, I think the opportunity is to the upside in this while the market is overly bullish. So my next price target is going to be 228, 230, 233. We do have a little bit of selling pressure right here, so I would actually love to get this on a pullback, most likely back down to here. Now, will they give it to you? Probably not. I mean, 225 to 222 isn't a lot, but ultimately, right, if we get a pullback to 218, that would be ideal where we have really nice solid formation of holding. Our next 4-hour hold is here. Here we got above it. They came below. They're now recapturing it. So this could be an entry right here, 225.19 to go higher. But my ideal point would be 222, right? 4-hour hold, right? Resistance. Then they held it, or back down here at 218, which was also resistance on the way up. So keep your eye on that. Let's look at some earnings. So Tesla has earnings this week. That $300 level that I talked about a couple weeks ago was monumental, right? Once it was able to hold this $300 level, it took off to the upside. So watch this one. I think it could definitely have more momentum going into earnings. Now, mind you, I would love to see a pullback to 327 before going long. Friday gave you a lot of trading opportunities. We really got down here, and this would have been an excellent call trade to take it back up. But what did it do? It rejected where the high was for the day. So again, if you're going to use a high of day, a low of day to say, okay, well, where will we probably bounce or reject? Right now, it's been at this 330 level, kind of roundabout numbers. So watch this going into next week. And then again, we can get above this overall seller here. This thing has, I think, some room, quite a bit of room to the upside, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go down to a 4-hour time frame. Yeah, I mean, we get above this 332 or even this prior pivot here, this supply zone,
could easily go to 341, right? We don't have any sellers up above. So, and then really the heavy sellers are up here at 356. So this thing could really be a good run. You're going to obviously have to be patient just due to the volatility. Keep your stop well away from the strike price, okay? But I'd like to see us pull back here to 327 to potentially go long. So we'll keep an eye on that one. A couple other ones announcing earnings this week is going to be Intel. This thing has been just a dog from a chip perspective for a whole multitude of reasons. But I do think that it has some upside potential if you can get above 23.77. It's not much, right? We're talking 50 cents, and it shouldn't be hard for a stock like this to move 50 cents. But when you go ahead and you look at it from an upside potential perspective, okay, we can run all the way up to $25, $26. And then once this thing gets going, the options contract should move fairly quickly, okay? So this is your consolidation zone right in here that we got to get above. Again, you got to get above this 23.77. Yes, I know there's sellers here, but when this thing, if it catches momentum coming into earnings, could really be a good upside play one way or the other. One other one that has earnings this week is going to be Enphase Energy, just a decimated stock that was originally prior up at over 360 bucks. But you can see we have a nice area where we can trade between 38.69 and 43.80. We're bouncing off the bottom of the zone. They do have earnings this week. A lot of it is going to be predicated on their battery distribution in Europe, throughout the EU and UK. Now, the good news here, too, you're in very heavy overall demand. So I think this one could be worth a call trade if we could get down to 38.69. Just probably watch it on the open. If we get a quick flush lower, I would definitely be interested in some calls, knowing that we only have a 4-hour supply ahead. And then if we can get above 40.88, they can push into these sellers and then take us all the way back higher. And then the last one is going to be American Airlines, is also announcing earnings this week. So this is another one where if you look at it again on the 4-hour time frame, I mean, just really struggling to get above 12.58. But if they can get above that, and this has been the laggard of all the airlines, so whether it's Delta, Southwest, United, this one has been the struggle bus, okay? So if you take a look, what are they doing? They're rejecting the 50 fib, rejecting, but they keep approaching it, okay, which is bullish. So if they can get above the 50 fib of this 12.55, okay, or the 12.58 is my price level, we should get some momentum to go to the 618 and then ultimately the 786. So let's go ahead and keep that fib on there, I think, until it's ultimately rejected. You can see right now, again, they've reapproached the fib, they bring it back down into liquidity. I think that they're going to try to reapproach it. Now, you can do one of two things. Take the reject at the 12.58 or wait for this area to hold for confirmation to actually go higher. But you'll see that they've rejected the price level a couple times here. So with that, guys, just patience, right? Let the market open, let it digest, let it find a trend, be very cognizant of news. And when you're trading at all-time highs, I mean, there is nothing wrong with making sure that you are taking lower position sizes, right? And then when it comes to volatility, definitely be charting your VIX. We need volatility to go up in order for options premiums to really move. But these are some price levels that you can see that I've been watching that seem to make really good sense. But we get, again, below this 1611, down in the 15s and the 14s, it makes it much, much more difficult to trade. And you'll see, again, higher time frames, right? This is a good level here. 16, right? We're just kind of hovering here. We really want to see this to be able to start pushing higher to the upside. And they get volatility up there, but then they kind of just sell it right back off. So this low-level consolidation is also somewhat bullish for the market, right? That's why it keeps making new all-time highs. And then we get these spikes, and then they buy it up. So every time you're seeing a spike and the market comes down, right, they buy the market up. This is why they're buying the market up. It's because the overall volatility drops super, super fast. So make sure you're going ahead and charting your VIX. I do it on the daily, 4-hour and 1 hour. And with that, you'll do just fine. So hope you all have a fantastic week. And if there's anything I can do, feel free to reach out. I'll see you all tomorrow morning for live trading at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take care.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure you sign up for the free weekly watch list emails to get early access before the video drops here on YouTube. See you next time.